safe space. We ain't never give a reason you should hide. Compile all your questions, we're taking the quest. Join Tarsha on this journey to discover the rest. Go.
Welcome to the Adoption Journey podcast. I am your host, Tarsha Smith, and welcome back to yet another week, another story. Before I get started, y'all already know, go like, follow, share, subscribe, and then copy, paste, repeat. Tell all your friends to go do the same thing, all right? I won't spend any more time there. All right, so today we have an adoptive parent and an author in the building, and we're going to get into both of those stories. I have Mr. Jeff Dunn. He wrote a really, really cute children's book called A Buffalo Out of Water. Hi, Jeff.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we're going to just dive right in because people want to know, like, who is Jeff? Oh. So first and foremost, tell me, because I know you're an adoptive parent, can you tell me how you decided, like, how did you land there? Adopting children?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. And I think it's a question a lot of people have and maybe are like afraid to ask, but I'm always happy to talk about it. So my wife and I were married in 2008. And then in 2011, we had a daughter named Madison. And then a couple years after that, our son, Zach, was born in 2013. And we weren't expecting this, but when he was born, at birth, we found out that he had a facial syndrome that causes some complications. It's a genetic syndrome called Treacher-Collins syndrome. It's the same syndrome if you know the book Wonder, or have you ever seen that movie? The main character in that book is based on somebody that has this syndrome. So it affects like hearing, speech, appearance, obviously. Just has a lot of things and challenges that come with it. It's been amazing having Zach in our family, but when we found out that we were carriers of this syndrome, we kind of had to decide if we wanted to keep having kids, because having kids naturally or biologically was there was just a lot higher risk of all that. So my wife just really felt a really strong kind of calling to like have more children. Like she felt like there were more children out there that were going to be part of our family, and she kind of led me along. I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds cool. Like I like kids, and I'm
I gotta stop
board.
you right there. Hold on, I gotta stop. I gotta jump in. Because as the father, you guys have a bad rap when it comes to wanting to adopt. So
Really?
Yeah. So you were like, I like kids. Sure.
Yeah, I was.
What was that like initially? Were you surprised when she was like, let's adopt? Or
Yeah, I was a little bit. I mean, I'd never just really thought about it. And I guess I kind of play into that same bad rap, I guess, because I was like a little bit like, wait, what are we doing? Like, so yeah, I think my wife has just kind of like led me along in all ways of life, though. Like she's always a couple steps ahead
as
of
we
me.
do, as we do as women. That's right.
Yeah, she's always like seeing the like a couple steps before I am. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing? And but the more I got it, the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like I want to explore this.
Okay.
And so we started the process of like looking into adoption. It's obviously like a big, huge thing to try to navigate and try to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And I give a lot of the credit to my wife. Like she just was really like tenacious and like did lots of research about like, how do you do this? Got connected with some really great, there was one kind of like an adoption, consultant, I guess, that kind of helped us get connected to good adoption agencies. So yeah, we had one. I don't. Do we just keep going with this? Or I can keep
Absolutely.
on the story.
Yeah, keep going, because people need to know. Like everyone has a different journey. Some people are thinking about adopting.
Yeah.
Some people, yeah. So they want to know, for people that have done it, what does it look like? And I know every state's laws are different, and the nitty gritty. But overall, like, what does it look like?
Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah, keep going. I'll jump in. Don't worry. Keep going.
I'm kind of like, I'm going to get rolling here, and I don't know. I don't want to just.
No, let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, so we got matched, which is people that are not familiar with adoption. Like we put a profile together. We're like, here's our family. Here's what we're looking. Here's what I want to adopt. We want more kids in our family.
And so you did private adoption.
Yeah.
If I'm hearing right. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't even know that terminology. So this is educational for me too. Yeah, so we put together a little profile and showed some pictures of our family. And, you show a picture of your house and you kind of talked about your hobbies and like your faith and, a lot of different things just to kind of give people an idea of who you are as people and
Mm-hmm.
kind of your values. So yeah, we had gotten matched. Our birth mother had seen our profile and wanted to place her child with our family, which was amazing. And we were just so excited. We were honored, humbled, all that stuff. But it was around Christmas time. I believe it was 2018, and we were about to get on the plane to go to Houston to meet this birth mother, and we were going to be there at the birth of this little girl. And then, I mean, it's not final until it's final, until you're there at
Right.
and the mother signs the paper. We were just kind of like trying to manage expectations, trying to show love to this woman, and like, either way, whatever you choose to do, like, we love you, we support you. So it happened that in that situation at the last minute, she just decided that she wanted to parent. So it was a mix of emotion. I mean, it was like we were happy for her and we felt like she had made a good decision, but it was also heartbreaking at the same time. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like a lot to process.
Get into that for me, especially for as a man, as the man. What does that feel like? Like you said, you got on the plane, and then she's like, "I can't do this."
Yeah,
Talk about your emotions.
I mean, it's a mix of emotions of, I think you're happy for her that she made that decision, and I think, because that takes a lot of courage for her to decide to do that. We knew a little bit about the situation that she was in and some of the challenges she was facing. But yeah, we're happy for her. But then at the same time, you're sad a little bit personally for yourself. I'm sad for my wife because, as a mother, she's kind of been doing all the nesting and, you put all this, when you're expecting a baby, you prepare for it. So you like move
Right.
things around, you get all the nursery ready, you think of a name, you have like all the little baby clothes picked out. Like you've just gone down that path a
Yeah.
long ways. And so just to be, it's kind of, in the back of your mind that, that anything can happen and that, and you want to be obviously respectful of any decision that they make because that is 100% the birth mother's decision to make, and we totally
Sure.
respect that. So it's kind of a mixture of like a lot of complex emotions and feelings, I would say.
So how long from that point to the next point do when's the next phone call? Or are you ready to get right back into it? Or did you put a pin in it and be like, okay, let's step back?
I'm trying to remember all the timing, but yeah, I think we kind of just jumped back into it. I mean, we were
Okay.
sad, and it was actually like, I think this baby was, if I remember correctly, it was going to be born on like Christmas Eve or like the day before Christmas Eve. So all this
Mm,
happened like,
around the
it was kind of
holidays.
like, oh man, that, it's again like you're just kind of trying to process all these emotions. Yeah, so then we kind of just jumped right back into it, and we got it was later that, so that was 2018, and then wait, actually that might have been 2017 because our son William, our first child that we adopted, was born in July of 2019. I think towards the end of that, like in November of that year, so about 11 months later, about a year later, we ended up getting matched with another birth mother, and she is from, she still lives there, but she's in Fort Worth, Texas. But she went up to Wichita, Kansas to have the baby up there. It was kind of, I can't remember the terminology for it, but it was a place where she could stay and that the people would
Mm-hmm.
take her to her doctor's appointments and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Just kind of make sure that she was taken care of while she was there. We got matched with her. We were really excited. We wanted to go out and meet her and just like get to know her a little
Mm-hmm.
bit better. So we flew out to Kansas. I want to say maybe like in April or May of that year, like a few months before the baby was going to be born, and just like spent some time with her and her friend. And we like went to a park. I remember we were like hanging out at the park, and she had like she was really pregnant.
The belly.
Yeah, the big belly. So it was fun to just like hang out with her. And we went to dinner, and yeah, so it was kind of nice. Just we didn't want to have like the first time we were meeting her be at the
Be
hospital, and
at
like,
the hospital, sure.
so
And that now I have to ask this: is she same race or is it different race?
it's different race. Yeah. So we had just put in our adoption profile that we were open to any child. No, we didn't put like restrictions on that, and that ended
Mm-hmm.
up being the birth mom that we were matched with.
Match
So
with.
yeah,
Okay.
so her family were refugee. They are refugees from Kenya, so they had come over but she was one of the younger kids in her family, so she was
Mm-hmm.
um she had was all intents and purposes American. Like she had been raised in America, but she had that culture in her family. And her mom was quite a bit older, so her mom was like very African. So yeah, I guess I just say yeah. So that was kind of the context of that. And the birth father was actually they were both had been born in Africa. So the birth father was born in the Congo, but he had come over later in
Mm.
life. So he actually like culturally was more African.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just a little bit about the birth family.
So, okay, so now I have another question.
Yeah.
What has that been like to raise, because he's not that old, so 2019, so in 2024, so he's still a kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
Yeah. So being the race is different, the culture is different. What's that been like as a parent? What's that been
yeah.
like for you?
I feel like a lot of responsibility. Like
Mm,
I know that I'm just at like the beginning of this, but I think obviously I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I'm at the very beginning of this journey,
sure.
but I know that there's a lot of trauma with adoption. Even
Mm,
with kids that are raised in their own, like in a loving home with adoptive parents that are really trying to show them love. Like that's just part of being adopted. Is
being adopted,
for
yeah.
every adoptee that I've talked to has kind of told me that same thing. And so, but then you add on the other layer of a racial difference, and yeah, it's a
Right.
lot. So yeah, I'm trying to. I
How
think it's been
No, no,
good.
no.
I feel that burden of like I want to do everything I can to support him.
And I love that because there are we have heard stories that not every parent that adopts a different race is thinking like you're thinking. So the fact that you're even thinking like that is huge.
Yeah.
Is
Well, I
huge.
mean, I don't mean to pat myself on the back or anything. I'm just saying, like, I think my wife and I both feel like we're both people that like really value diversity and culture, and we're not trying to like assimilate anyone into like anything. It's just like
Right.
we want to you're going to be raised in our home, we're trying to teach you values, show you love, but like we
Sure.
understand there's another layer of this, and we
Another
want you to feel
layer.
like you can connect not only with your birth family but like your culture, whatever part of that you want to identify with, whether if it's the African, if it's the American, if it's both. Like we want to support both of our boys who are both black, who are adopted. So that was kind of part
Yeah,
of our thing.
I
That was part where we were grateful to. I don't know if grateful is the right word, but I'm glad that we have two black sons in some ways, because we didn't want to have one child that just felt totally isolated. Like
yeah.
I look different. There's nobody else in my family
They
that looks
have
the way
some
that I
kind
do.
of mirror, if you
Yeah,
will.
not that it's
Are they
like
biological siblings or
they're
not?
not
Okay.
biological, but yeah, they're both black, and so I mean, again, my wife is the smart one, and she's always like a few steps ahead of me. But like, at least there's, when they're sitting at the dinner table or Christmas morning or like all these kind of core memories that they're gonna have.
Sure.
We're hopeful that like that will help a little bit. Just to see like somebody else in their family
Right.
that looks like they do, even though it's not. I mean,
That
it's not ideal like what you would you'd
it's
want to have. So, but anyway, that's kind of
yeah.
like our hope. Our hope. So we'll see.
Okay. So you walked me through adoption for the first one, and the second one. Is there a huge age difference between the two?
No, they're only about 18 months apart, so they're pretty
Okay,
close
so
in
they're
age.
very close in age.
Yeah, and it just worked out that we got a call sooner than we were expecting to. We weren't actually like um, actively looking to adopt again. Like we were still. William was, I think he had just turned 1, and then our son. So this adoption person that we had worked with reached out to us, just like, hey, we just saw another profile, and we would like to present your profile to this birth mother. We think it might be a good match for you. And we were just like, okay, let's do it. Like we weren't really
Wow.
expecting that, but we were like, yeah, that's like, we're open to it. Let's pursue it. And again, we were able to we had a good connection with this birth mother. She's an awesome person. So it was just it was comfortable. Like when we talked to her, like, sometimes when you talk to someone for the first time, you can kind of like almost pretty quickly get a sense if you kind of like
Sure.
mesh with this person or not. So
Sure.
yeah, she was super cool, and we were able to pretty quickly just kind of get things rolling. So yeah.
So let me ask you this question because I think our listeners would be interested in knowing what has this been like for your biological children? Because not only adoption, but then a different race.
Yeah.
What is it?
No, it's a good question. I think it's funny because like it's definitely different than I thought it would be. Like I'm always just like, hey, can you guys be nicer to your siblings? Like don't just treat them like they're like I almost want them to be like extra nice or something, but they're just like, no, that's my brother and like he's bugging me, so I'm gonna like hit him. Or not, it's like a very
Regular sibling stuff.
not
Yeah.
not that they're get like not it's just like yeah, they're I don't that's I mean I've kind of been pleasantly surprised because it just feels so like normal and natural. And I
Yeah.
know that, I know there are probably maybe some things will, come out, or there may be some stuff like later on in life. But from my perspective, from this point, like up to this point, it's been like exactly as I would expect any sibling relationship to be, like the same relationship I've had with my siblings growing up. And so, yeah, I love to see that.
Just to keep it in perspective, your children are still young.
Yes, they're still young.
So
Yeah.
they're going to, right, the way that they act as children, and like you said, like just regular sibling stuff, I get that because that's what kids do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what kids do. So now that we know your backstory, like at what point do you go, you know what, I need to write a book?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, it's funny because it's like sometimes when you look at something like a movie or a book or something, you're like, oh yeah, so like it must have been this really smooth like linear process, like they went from A to B to C, they like had it all planned out. At least in my case,
how these things work.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy chaos. But I'm like a really creative person, and I had just been in like I was at a stage in my life and my career where I just wasn't feeling fulfilled that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I've always, this is like kind of weird too. I don't know if it's weird, but like I really have always valued like high quality like kids entertainment. Like I loved watching like Sesame Street and Reading Rainbow growing up. I was like, man, that's just like good stuff. Like,
You're aging yourself.
yeah, I'm a child of the '90s. I'm a child of the '90s, but yeah, like we were watching. I was with my daughter the other day, and she was watching like a documentary about Reading Rainbow, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that stuff is like so good. Like it's just like good quality. Parents can appreciate it. Kids can appreciate it. It's just like good like stuff, and you're like teaching kids. And so yeah, I've always I've been creative. I also really just enjoy like that kind of like even like a Pixar movie. Is a good example where it's like,
and those are always great.
Yeah, there's like multiple layers of meaning, you know what I mean? And multiple like there's jokes that the kids get, there's jokes the adults get, but it's like everyone's enjoying it, and it's like making, in some case, like I think in the best case scenario, it's like it can create like dialogue between kids and parents about issues, or Mr. Rogers did that really well too, I think. So
very well, yeah.
So yeah, I think all that stuff I was like, man, I would really love to write like a kid's book someday, and I don't even know like what it would be about. And so I kind of like started, this is like years ago, like a funny idea would pop in my head, or like I would just write it down. Didn't really know. One day I had this idea of a water, because I was like, I don't know, your brain will go to weird places, like unexpected places sometimes, and I just had a thought pop in my head about like water buffaloes and buffaloes, bison, what we call buffaloes.
I'm glad you said that, because I was like, that is the most random animal.
I know, that's what everyone's been asking me, like, do you love buffaloes? And I'm like, no, not really. I just like, it was just a weird, like my brain just went to that for some reason one time. And I was like, that's kind of funny. Like, what if there was like, I wasn't even thinking of it in terms of adoption at that point, but
yeah,
the more that I was just I started like kind of playing around with it, and I was like, you know what, that could actually be a cool way, if it was done the right way, could be a cool way to kind of introduce the concept of adoption, and especially like transracial adoption, where the child like clearly looks different than the parents. You know what I mean?
You did an excellent job with that.
Oh, well, I mean,
excellent.
I thank you. I mean, it's one thing, like one thing I don't want to, and because the main character in the book is adopted, and I want to make sure everyone knows, like, I'm not trying to speak for adoptees. I'm not like saying I understand.
And I am adopting myself, and
okay.
I didn't take it like that. Like I understood exactly what you were trying to do.
Well,
for those that are, here is.
Yeah, there's Wade. There's the main character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I just tried to like, So I started out when I first, like my first draft, that took me like a couple years to even just do like the text for it, was like, it was like this kind of like rhyming story. The more I was thinking about it, I was just like, this just feels like too chipper, you know, like it's too like surface level. Like this is like a really sensitive, like complicated thing. I don't want to like overcomplicate it for kids. I want it to like be understandable, but I want to like kind of honor what this is too. You know what I mean? And not be like too flippant about it or flippant at all. And so I was like, I'm going to like kind of keep this same framework in the story, but I really dove in and just did as much research as I could to like understand like what are the issues, like what could a kid feel like, what could he experience, like
Yeah,
how
my
much is that could
most
be. Yeah.
favorite page illustration were the pictures on the wall. And when
Yeah.
you were saying that I don't look like anybody, because that goes for any adoptee. That was my experience because
Yeah.
I'm same race adoptee, but I know I didn't look like anybody.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I loved that you had that illustration. And I was like, this is so good.
Oh, well, I mean, that means a lot. Like at the end of the day, like I care about my sons. I care about all adoptees. Like I've seen the statistics. I know there's like a lot of horrible things, you know, and really sad things that, you know, are tied in with being an adoptee. So my whole intent is to like do whatever like tiny little teeny tiny thing I can do to help. And
Yeah.
so it's great to hear that. And yeah, I think at one point the story was like the main character was reunited with his birth family and it was like this happy ending. But then I was like, wait, well, I don't want to. I know there's a lot of kids that don't have that experience. So like I want to kind of get at that, but not fully, you
But
know, I want
not
to make it
fully.
as
Yeah, we're
like,
not going to give the book away because we want them to go buy the book and read the book. But
yeah,
just know this buffalo has a crazy dream.
yeah. So I
It's
just,
a
you know,
fun dream, though.
it's like you want to kind of like paint the picture and give people like, this is sort of, you know, obviously a fictional story, but
Sure.
these are maybe some of the emotions a kid could feel. And I've even talked to like some adoptive parents that were like, oh, I wish you wouldn't have said something like, you know, why was I given away? Like, I don't want my child to ever feel that way. And I was like, I don't either. But I've heard that sometimes that's how an adoptee could feel like.
But that's an
Yeah.
adoptee. That's like, yeah, I'm glad that you put it in there because it's reality and
Okay.
not, I can speak for myself. Don't recall ever having that question. My question was more centered around, well, what happened? But this was
Yeah.
later on, not a kid question, but, teenager.
Sure.
Well, what happened? So we have all different types of questions. They come out different kind of ways. And one of the questions might be, why was I given away?
Yeah.
And then when I reunited with my own birth family, I got my answer. I know why I was put up for adoption.
Yeah.
So what you did was, I think that was, you attacked it correctly.
Okay. Well, thank you. So, yeah, I mean, it's been just an amazing project. Like, from a, you know, just being able to be creative, like write a story, come up with a story, find an illustrator, like really try to tell the story, make beautiful pictures and make it all match up. And then, yeah, I think it would be cool. But then I think what has really made it fulfilling for me is just, you know, having adopted children myself. And then it's really, I've learned so much just since I've started putting the book out there, like hearing from adoptees has been amazing. Like that's what I've realized. Like that's where I need to go next. Is like I just want to hear from every adoptee I can, adult adoptee. And
Well, let's
it's like
start with the two in your house, and
I
I know
know,
they're kids, but what do they think about the book?
yeah, we should start there. I know. Sorry, yeah, I get so excited, but they like it. Yeah, they've enjoyed reading it. I think they see themselves in the character and they understand. It's kind of been a way for them to, yeah, start to like. They're still really young. They're 5 and 3, so especially my 5-year-old though has started to like, he'll say stuff he picks up on, he knows that he looks different than we do. But yeah, they've enjoyed reading it. It's been good. I think there's some stuff in there that's maybe a little bit complex for them to totally understand, but I think
Sure, because they're little.
yeah, but I think like that, like you're saying, they understand that concept of like the pictures on the wall and like we're all in the same family but we look different. So
So I think that because I heard you say that you didn't want to give like this happily ever after type
yeah.
ending, but the ending that you gave, and again, I'm not giving it away. You got to go read the book and buy the book, people. but the ending that you did, it was perfect. I'm
Uh,
like, this is perfect. This is like you addressed what it is, and then I'll just say you wrapped it up perfectly. I'll say
well,
that.
well, thank you. I mean, I really like, it means a lot to hear that because you just, that ending part was like months of just like, I was like agonizing, like, how do I do this? Because like at first I had even an ending that was like, oh, this just feels like too like, and everything's
To
fine, like
fairy
everything.
tale, yeah,
Yeah, it's not. It's like it still wasn't perfect, you know. Like this, we're not trying to end this book and say like, and they lived happily ever after because it's still going to be challenging. But like,
sure,
can you find like how can you find even that a little bit of peace or a little bit of comfort, you know? And like, it's still going to be hard, but you know. So that's
yeah,
what I was going for.
and and I think you did a great job. Let the people know where they can purchase this beautiful book, and I'm going to show it again because the illustration, the colors, everything, they're so beautiful.
Thank you, Tarsha. You're so kind. Yeah, I think so. I'm selling it through Shopify. So we're just having we have a little post office here. So if you buy one, I'll get it out to you. It's buffalo.out.of.water on
And I'll be
Instagram.
sure to put that link in the description of
Yeah.
this video.
Yeah. So that's just, you can find it on there in my bio. There's a link to the Shopify page. And yeah, I'll even, if you buy a book, I'll write you a little note, just
He
put your
sure
name.
will. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so personalized. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just really appreciative. Like anyone, I mean, I'd be honored if you'd include it in your bookshelf. I think for me too, like I'll just say that I want this to be like I hope that, like, you know, people that are adopted can maybe see themselves in the character in some way, and that, you know, it's a mirror for them. But I also really hope that it's for kids who are not adopted, that don't understand what it is and what it could feel like, and at least gives them like a little bit of a window into what that experience could feel like. So that's what I'm hoping to accomplish.
So let me tell you what I've learned about you so far. You went from your wife saying, hey, let's adopt kids. And you're like, wait, what are we doing? And now here you are full on you dove in, and now you're educating people.
I'm
So
trying
there's
to,
that.
Tarsha. I'm trying to. I'm like an all or nothing person. That's what my wife always like. If I'm doing it, like
I
I'm
can
doing
see
it
that.
100%. So
I can see that.
yeah,
I can see
I
that.
love my boys. So like, you know, I want to do whatever I just, not to say that I'm, you know, I just love them. So yeah,
As you should, as
yeah,
you should,
yeah,
because they're your boys.
yeah. They are. They are.
And let me ask you this one question about their adoption, because I'm going to assume they're open or semi-open.
They're open. Yeah,
Open, okay.
yeah,
What has that been like? Have you been able to still communicate with their birth parents or mother?
yeah. Yeah, we have. I'll just be totally honest again too, because I'm not perfect. I don't want to tell you that I'm like a saint or anything, but like at first, like I was a little bit like nervous about that. I was like, do we need to have like
Mm.
some more boundaries, or like what is this? But like as I just open myself up to it, it's been the best thing ever. I love it. And like, so when my son William turned 1, we went down to Fort Worth, and we were there for his birthday with his birth family. And so it was his birth
Mm.
dad is really involved. And he we had like a party at his house. All of his cousins, grandparents, like his birth family was there, and it was just so cool. It's almost like it feels like it would be like threat, but like it was just expanded my. I feel like that's my
Yeah, I was
family.
actually going to ask you that. Does it feel like
It feels
you
like my
took it
family
right out of my
doubled
mouth?
inside. If it, like it feels so, it was like very natural. It just is like we're all family. Like even though we're not family by blood, we are family. The birth mom and the birth dad are not like, you know, they don't talk or whatever, but like the same thing with the birth mom, I consider my family 100%. Like I don't know if like sisters is the right term for it, but like that's the kind of like relationship that I'm just like, when I see her, it's like that kind of like familiar, like family kind of feeling. So I wasn't expecting that at all. So that's been really cool. And then our with Quentin, his birth mom is amazing too. I mean, she has other children, and so we're not as like, we haven't done as much with her. My wife, again, I'm giving her all the credit because she sends every. Quentin was born on the 11th of the month, I think. Yeah, so she'll send the birth mom some pictures every month on the
Pictures.
11th day.
Sure.
But I mean, I would love to see her again. So she's down in Houston. So they're both from Texas, but we haven't had contact with Quentin's birth father, but we would love to. Like, we want to, if he's comfortable, we'd love to like get in touch with him. I mean, we would love to meet him. We also just want to make sure that Quentin knows who that person is. Like, know if he wants to reconnect with him. And obviously it's his choice, but we just want to make sure, you know, that he has the option to do that if he wants to do it. Yeah. So I guess the short answer is it's been amazing. And I love the birth families so much. They're so cool. And
yeah, because that I don't think I've just heard different things about open adoption. I'm a baby of the 70s, so I had a closed adoption. Most adoptions back then were closed, so very different experience.
Yeah.
But just hearing you say it's like an extension of your family, that's like, oh, I guess I never even thought about it like that it could be like that.
Yeah.
So
that's
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we love them, and we hope they know that, and like we know their sons love them too. Like, it's not, so they have pictures of their birth families in their room, so they can see that.
Aww.
And I mean, like I said, it's not perfect, but I'm hoping. Like, we're just trying.
None of this ever is perfect.
Yeah.
None of it's perfect. You just got to do what works for your family, your children, and that's there's a blueprint, quote unquote, but you have to do what works for you. And it sounds like that's exactly what you and your wife are doing. And again, now you're out here educating the people. And as they get older and the more you learn, the more you're going to say, you know what, let me add this, because the next book, I'm sure, is coming.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I've learned so much. Like, I wish, like, it's never ending. Like, I just, there's always more to learn. That's what I always feel like in anything. Like, you just have to, there's a quote somebody said one time, it's like, it's what you learn after you know it all, like, that's what really matters. So
I love that. Yeah, that's it right there. So my last question for you, what would you say to any parent that is thinking about adopting? What would you say? What gems do you want to give them?
Well, yeah, it was funny. I actually met someone I was traveling on Saturday, and I met an adoptive, like a hopeful adoptive parent. So it's cool to see that. And, I think it's a beautiful thing to like open your heart to another child. And I think, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, and you have love in your heart, and you are 100%, 1,000% committed to this child and wanting to support them as they need to be supported. And you kind of have to buckle your seatbelt a little bit. It can be kind of a rocky road. There's a lot of things that are out of your control, and you're kind of putting your heart out there. So, but yeah, I would just say keep going forward and be brave.
Be brave.
It's definitely scary. Support each other. And it's a beautiful thing. It's not, like, I think I've tried to say, like, it's not always like rainbows and unicorns and
unicorns and ponies.
But I think it's great. I mean, I would encourage you to, just make sure that you're prepared for what it is, and do your research, but go into it with like an open heart, and it's a beautiful thing.
Love that. I want to thank you for coming and sharing your backstory and talking a little bit about the book. Y'all, I'm going to drop the link in the bio of this video. Please click it and purchase the book. It's a wonderful little cute little children's story about adoption. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tarsha. I could talk to you all day. You're like just so nice and easy to talk to. But I thank you for like letting me share my story, and thank you for all that you do. And I'm excited to listen to more of your podcasts and learn from all the guests that you have on.
Yes.
I'll tell my friends. I'll spread the word, because we have a lot of friends in the adoption community, and I think you're doing an awesome job. So it's great meeting you.
You too. But hold on, don't leave me just yet. Okay. And on that note, bye, family.
Journey on. You need a pie with the good. Oh yeah, what is the one?